So we shall begin at, what, 6:02? That's what it says on the machine over there. So meeting shall be in order. Everybody's seen the agenda and the minutes from the previous meeting. Any questions, additions regarding the minutes or the agenda? Any additions to the agenda? Hearing none. Motion to approve the minutes from January 16th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? We need a roll call vote. Paul Flaherty, aye.
Steve Rakatan, aye.
Mike Hall,
Don Spargo, aye.
Justin Paul and I.
Yay.
The unanimous of all things present. Next item of business would be the OPM report. Mr. Kirby,
We're gonna do the minutes?
we did.
Okay, I thought you just did the agenda. Sorry about that.
No,
Okay, hold on. Can you see that?
we can.
Okay,
Make
I
it
mean,
bigger.
just a couple things. Some might be not in the order of your agenda, but, just some open and new issues, punch list on the paint. The two areas that, we've been trying to get the painter back. I did get an email from Joe from Hutter, who said he thought that the painter had gone back. I was there last Friday and confirmed that the entry header trim at the COA entrance and that section of one of the library wood columns still has not been touched up yet. Also, it came based on some of the discussions on the condensing units and the Tralson that we're coming up on a 1-year warranty, which is the warranty is April 7th. So Peter, Chris, and I sort of kicked around. That should say 329, not 39. Doing a 1-year warranty walkthrough on Friday the 29th to have some kind of a list to send to Hutter. We would certainly notify him if he wanted to come down, and anybody else could take a walk. Peter and Chris, are we confirmed for that day now?
We can do it. I reached out to Hutter to see if they wanted to join. It's Good Friday, so I'm not sure they'll be able to, but they don't need to be there, I suppose.
They don't, no.
Yeah. But we should memorialize everything
Agreed.
known before that 7th date. Yeah.
And obviously anybody else that wants to, tag along, that's fine. Actually, we would sort of maybe welcome it, Matthew, Paul, Steve, just maybe some things that you guys have seen that you could point out. So that's it on sort of punch list and standard warranty. The Tralson freezer, we had yet again there was problems with the freezer. It was at the end of last week, and ultimately it was discovered that a couple sensors had gone, but because there had been so many callbacks on the freezer that a rejection / replacement under warranty letter was sent to Tralson on Town of Upton letterhead. We also sort of had a hand in drafting it up, which was sent on Monday morning, and Monday in the afternoon, a gentleman from Tralson sent a letter back denying it. I can just scroll down. So here's the letter that was sent by Joe Layden. I think most people have seen it, and maybe Peter and Chris, you might not have, but I think everybody in the committee had seen it, at least a draft of it.
I think I had sent it around.
Yep. So that went out, and then at 3:15 on the same day, got a response saying that they would not be able to approve replacement of this unit. And it gave a bunch of reasons why, but that ultimately that's going to have to be responded to, because he's saying the unit was installed in December 22. Well, when it was delivered and when it was started is two different things. Plus, the warranty for the project starts. It didn't start till April. So there's a number of things that I think we need to respond to this, and maybe straighten this Luis Vidia out. But I guess in the short term, the Matthew, did I see that they came out and replaced the sensors, or they're on back order?
They did them. They fixed them Monday.
Okay, so the freezer is back down to its proper temperature, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I mean, at least it's usable, but we essentially don't know how much longer it's going to go. So I think, like I said, at a minimum, this has to be responded to with maybe some more detail as far as when certain things occurred, date-wise, if that's what they're going to go by. He's saying gaskets was a wear item. The gaskets were missing. That was the problem.
So, defective when they came.
Yeah, so he doesn't have the full story. I don't know who he's talking to, but maybe he's the guy that they just say, answer this. So I think I'm assuming the position of the town is to still say, get this out of here. We want a new one, correct?
It is.
Okay.
Would there be any benefit to having Peter try to apply pressure to Singer Kittredge? I mean, the other thing is, we can go on social media, Mr. Charleston. Do you know how many bad things we can say about you? So, but I don't know. That's just my thought. And Steve had mentioned to me something that the ACE service guy in so many words said, Charleston's not going to do anything for you. You got to go to the agent.
Which would, yeah, well, Singer Kittredge, Ace and Hunter were all copied on the letter.
Yeah, same
Okay.
pictures of that.
Okay.
So Kittredge was the installer? Is that right?
Kittredge was
They
the
were the
food
agent,
service
right?
subcontractor that Hunter contracted with. Singer Kittredge bought various equipment from various manufacturer, Tralson being the freezer, and Ace Service is the service rep, the local service rep for Tralson. There was another name in some of the email chains that I read, and I wasn't quite sure how that particular person fit into the puzzle, but it's a Hunter, Kittredge, Tralson, Ace is sort of the top to bottom grouping that we've been dealing with.
If Kittredge was the installer and the gaskets truly weren't there when it was installed, wouldn't that be, I mean, shouldn't they have known that? And if that's what led to the damage of the condenser and the need to replace it or whatever it was that he mentioned in his letter, wouldn't
The
that be a result?
gaskets were there.
They
The
were?
gaskets were there. They weren't, it wasn't making a complete seal at on the, I guess, the upper door on the lower right hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have pictures of frost at the bottom of the door before the building was turned over. So this was something that was brought up before occupancy.
Yeah, so I'd agree that, because this letter from Joe is kind of generic in the problems. I think being more specific about what they were in a rebuttal to his email reply to sort
Yeah,
of rebut what he's
this
saying.
letter is first pass, you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So we're gonna have to work on that. But again, short term, it's up and running again, but I think we need to pursue this.
Should we ask Ace for copies of their service record? I would think that'd be a start.
We could, I think we have at least a few of them because, I mean, Matthew got the one that they just came out for, and I'm pretty sure we got a couple others.
Yeah, cause years ago, they used to, the guy would leave you a handwritten slip, but back when I used to do it, but now everything's, we'll send it to you in a electronically,
Right.
so.
So do you have photographs with dates that show the frost and the seal as a result of the seals not sealing that were, early on in the project before this 90-day period that he's claiming that you'd have to replace the things anyway? I mean, that's what he's trying to say, right?
Yeah. Well, the cut sheet,
That's BS too. 90 days on a gasket? Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
well, at any rate, the whole thing's a year. So regardless if there's an individual piece, the
2
whole
years.
thing is warranted for.
Well, there's an
year.
extended warranty on that Charleston, and the reason we went to Charleston is because they're the ones that provided the warranty to the town.
it's 3-year parts and labor warranty, 2 additional years on compressor parts warranty,
Okay, yeah.
and that's off the cut sheet.
Yeah, and that's Charleston's warranty. Kittredge Singer they have a 1-year warranty for their part in this, as being the food service subcontractor. So
We've incurred no cost on all these repairs.
The only cost we incurred is the loss of,
Use of the
product.
And the weeks that we can't use it, yeah.
So when was the condenser fan motor replaced?
Matthew, you have all those?
I had them written down, they're not on the
Yeah.
top of my head, but it's been the gaskets, then the coils twice, then the fan motor, and now these sensors.
They replaced the whole coil?
No, they said, because it would lose temperature, and the Ace guy came out and said he has to defrost the coils, and
Frozen.
he did that twice.
Makes sense.
But I looked at the dates, and it was almost to the day every 2 months. So since August. It was August, September, November, January, now we're in March.
And I was here with the guy that came 2 weeks ago to diagnose this, when we called him the first time for this particular issue. And he said, the sensor is telling me that it's 38 degrees. But it's encased in ice, so it's more than 38, it's less than 38 degrees.
Well, if somebody wants to send me this email response, I have the letter from Joe. I did get copied on that. And an itemized list of the sequence of events. I'll be happy to write a letter to Kittredge. I mean, I don't have any problem doing that.
Matthew, you have all the specifics on that?
I have most of the dates, yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if I have I don't think I have the gaskets, maybe. Steve, if you have photos of the gaskets.
Yeah,
that would be
I'm
good.
I'm pretty sure I know I took a photo of the frost at least one time during
Yeah,
During
I
the-
was gonna say
yeah.
I took photos as well, and I have the emails or the dates of the emails that Paul first reached out to Dave Rando on 8/5.
So I think just putting all that in order and attaching it to the letter and to basically as a rebuttal to this would make sense, yes.
Yeah, I think we all have correspondence on this, and a lot of it will be duplicative, but between everybody. there's a lot of information.
Well, because it's still under Kittredge's warranty too. That's the thing. It's 1 year, it's under 1 year, so they still have some ownership here, right?
Right, right. And they've really been, arm's length on this whole thing. Because ultimately we've been going to, sometimes just contacting Ace Direct, which, and Charleston doesn't like that, but this last time, didn't we just contact Ace Direct this last time?
I did.
Yeah.
And when the conversation I had with the girl at the service, that she was saying something, is this, you should go to Charleston. I says, no, I'm not going to Charleston. I said, you have the whole record of this. I said, you've already been here 3 or 4 times. So, I know you've been here, so you tell Charleston. And that was a Thursday that was a Friday. And she wasn't sure when they could get here. And then at 9 o'clock on the following Tuesday morning, she called me. She says, hey, the guy's on his way. He'll be here in 10 minutes. I said, okay. So I drove in the parking lot and he came in right behind me. And, when he called, he was on the phone with the Charleston for a long time. And when he got done, he says, they weren't happy that you didn't go to them first. I says, I don't care what you say. I says, this thing has been a problem since day one. And, I call them, you wait a day, they call another day. I says, Ace is gonna be the guy come out here in the long run, so let's go right to him, so. Again, I did business with Ace for 35 years, so.
Okay, so we'll work on that and then, in the next few days.
Do we have any idea when, because he has that December 2022 installation date, when they actually were turned on? When they got electricity to them and were running?
I don't know, I remember the day that Charleston guy,
We got a training day, right?
yeah, that was, they came. And the guy who came as the rep for the dishwasher and
July 25th.
the steam table. I says, are you the rep for these guys too? Yeah. And I took him over and showed him the issues with the
Gaskets?
gaskets, because that hadn't been fixed at that time. So,
The training was on July 25th,
All
Of
right.
23.
yes,
2023.
Yeah, so they, right. So
Well,
long
that's
time.
way after you occupied anyways.
Yeah,
Right, it was in May, right?
occupancy was May
May
1st.
1st.
May 1st.
yeah.
So
Steve,
so
you're
we,
saying substantial completion was April 7th.
correct. So that's probably the latest date that we can go on it because we know it was already there. But, I think they're probably looking at when was it dropped off at the building in December of 22. That could be, well, we can check that. But it certainly wasn't turned on December of 22.
Yeah, when did the electricity, or were we running without permanent power for a while or something? I don't know. I can't remember there being some complication there. Or was it just the generator?
Well,
I guess?
we didn't have the generator.
Hmm, yeah.
So there was a shutdown for that, and we'd have to look back up where when permanent power came up, because I don't think they fired that up on temp power.
I don't recall.
So startup date, if we can find that, that would be good. Okay,
Dan might have that in his notes or something.
Yeah, I know at some point we pulled them out of there, so, but I think the kitchen equipment was on by that time. Maybe there's a few odds and ends that weren't done yet, but I'll have them look that up. We'll backtrack into it somehow. Might be in meeting minutes too.
Yeah. I'd have to do a deeper dive.
Okay, so that's that. Anything more on that item?
Not at this point.
Okay, so the next thing I had was just the condensing unit icing and location issue. As you had seen, and Peter and Chris wrote up a draft letter, non-compliance letter to send to Hutter, but hasn't been sent yet. Because I thought it would be good for us to discuss it at this meeting since we were having it tonight. But the drawings show that these particular units were supposed to be 30 inches from the edge of the roof overhang. When I went over there Friday to take a look at it, they were actually 30 inches from the building wall. The roof overhangs on, let's see, the north-south is overhangs more than the east-west, but I think east-west, the unit's about 15 inches from the roof overhang. The other direction, essentially the library side, the long side of the building, is even with the roof overhang. So they're not located exactly where they should be. Of course, if they had been, that pad size would have been larger. I don't know if it would have impacted the sidewalk or not, because it would have really only been 30 inches farther out, and we've got that whole stone area that's in front of the well, right now it's behind the gate that's been put in.
I don't know if it would have been larger, it would have been located differently.
No, the pad would have been large. That pad is jammed with the units. There's 4 big units and 1 small unit on there. You got to climb over stuff to walk through there.
I know, but if the things were, if all of it was placed at 30 inches off I mean, as it is, it could have been placed 30 inches off of each of those eaves, right? And still be the same thing.
No, I don't think so. No.
I don't understand how that couldn't be, but anyway.
I'd have to go back and measure it. I wasn't looking at it from that aspect when I looked at it on Friday. I was just looking to see where they lined up.
So it wasn't just the construction drawings that showed it, the requirement for the 30-inch clearance. It was also the coordination drawings of the contractors that showed it 30-inch clearance. And they didn't build it according to their own coordination drawings. So that's why we wrote the letter. And basically what we said was there are 2 options for correction, and one is to actually extend the pad and relocate them the distance required, or provide the manufacturer approved unit hoods.
The one thing that we need to sort of consider, though, is the issue that occurred over the winter, which there was ice on the fan blades that caused the rattling. I don't think we know whether that was from snow sliding off the roof, which it really shouldn't, because it's an asphalt shingle roof, or it's just snow that comes directly down on the units themselves, because the fans are up facing.
Yeah.
This was a freezing rain event.
Okay.
And the units that are furthest away from the building, all right, that would not have any effect on anything falling off. Anything running off the roof isn't going to get to the units, the second one away from the building. This was basically the rain froze the the fans came on, they were out of balance, and they made a racket. Due to the fact that there's nothing there to protect that fan blade. Now, the unit at the town hall, again, different manufacturer, but it has that hood on it, similar to what was shown in this, the drawing of the thing that was sent from, that Chris sent, I believe. It shows a deflector. And that stays on year round. I noticed that, the engineer here is saying you can put the thing on and then take it off in the summer and all that. That's, I don't know, that's a lot of baloney, I think.
I don't think once you put those hoods on, they don't come off. I mean,
That's right.
no one's gonna take those off. I mean, the thing that can be done is we can certainly send part of the letter and well, I guess they'll pass it down to KMD, who someone will come back with a response.
Yeah, and I think I can clearly state the preference for the hoods versus moving everything, because it will affect the fence, it'll affect landscaping, it'll
You're
affect
not
a lot
moving
of things
anything
at this point.
Yeah.
So if everyone's okay with that, that's what I'll do.
Is Dennis coming to the meeting?
I thought he was.
Okay.
I thought he was.
I figured he might have some input on this because they're basically his units now.
Yeah, I know. Well, the only thing, he's basically he had an email in there where he basically explained his position on it. And unfortunately, I don't have my phone and I can't get a hold of him.
Okay.
I shall chastise him vigorously tomorrow.
So I guess what's the consensus of the committee is to because Peter sent you this letter too. So
My thought is get
send
the
it to
hoods
Joe.
on there. We ain't paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the intent.
Justin, are you out there anywhere?
He
Justin,
was.
Yeah, I'm here.
give us your 2 cents on this whole thing.
Well, I sort of follow the issue. I mean, I think recommending that we go with the hood is the right answer, because I think everything else sounded like a what if, or I think this happened. If there's a manufacturer recommended hood, just do that, and then we're not getting into changing landscaping. I don't really fully understand all the other stuff that was discussed, though, to be honest.
Well, to answer your question, there is a manufacturer's recommended and fabricated hood. It's going to come down to who's going to put it in. There's going to be an argument, or let's say not an argument, but a response to this somehow, some way.
Sure.
But
I mean, but I think,
which is fine.
if
That's fine.
But I mean, what Peter said is it was on the coordination drawings and the design drawings that there was a 30-inch offset that was to be followed. So they didn't follow it. There was probably a reason why they didn't, but they didn't follow it. It's as simple as that. So put the hood in. Should have been caught on the drawings.
Well, that's the intent of my letter. And essentially, they didn't tell us they weren't going to follow it. They didn't ask us for permission not to follow it. They just didn't follow it.
Right. And in some cases, like, there's no result, no harm, no foul. But in this case, there is. And there was a real issue that happened, right? So I side with you guys that it was documented that it should have had an offset. It seems to be causing the issue, and you didn't follow the drawings.
Well, that's the one thing we're not sure of, whether it actually caused the issue or not. But I think you have to say, you almost have to stop it as you didn't follow the drawings, and this may be an issue.
Okay.
We did have an issue, but I don't think anybody witnessed any snow sliding off the roof onto these units. I don't think we can say that in particular. But what I think they did, in my mind, is they held 30 inches, but they held it off the wall. Cause they are at 30, 31, depending on where you measure, off of the wall, and just missed the fact that it was supposed to be off of the roof edge. Even though it's on everybody's drawings, I think that's what happened.
Okay. I guess
Um,
looking at it from their perspective, did they, maybe they at the time didn't want to push it out further because would it have impacted landscaping or something else? Like, would it have been a larger issue? Or
I think we had enough room, but you know what I'm thinking too? Wasn't there an issue at one point of the length of the lines?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because we were looking at moving them, if you remember, behind where the electrical room is there. We were
Yeah.
looking at moving them
Yeah.
to the back of the building, outside of that area, and the lines were too long
Hmm.
to do
Because
that.
because this DCU unit, I believe, is right here, as opposed to where it's shown. So I don't know if they were running into the limit on how far the refrigerant lines could go.
Chris, do you remember which one they were having trouble? They were sort of at the edge of the distance with. It was one of them that was feeding the far west or far south end.
It's
Yeah.
the far south end air handler, whatever condenser was using that, because there
I
was
think
two.
that's 4. I think that's
Yeah,
not,
it's
so
either
4
3 or, yeah, it's
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Yeah, because the air handling unit 1, 2, and 3 are all down the other end
Yeah.
by the
Right.
multi-purpose room.
In regards to moving those to the back of the building, I think the issue again, whether it is speculative that the snow falls off the roof or not, I think just in conversation with the emails, we've talked about the fact that, it's the fans are open, to the open air. So regardless of the snow falling off the roof, there's still snow getting in those units, and really, GGD was sending that as a help as far as adding something additional to what would have been the standard, condenser unit, that was being installed. So those hoods are really an add to what would be the standard for the the standard manufacturer's unit.
I think though, and this is not for this project, but for lessons learned, if you're going to have a condensing unit that may operate during the winter, they should put the hoods on standard. That's just part of base contract.
Yeah, if
And
they're
that's
not,
something you can pass on to GGD
if they're not covered and taken out of, shut down for the winter, right? Yeah.
yeah.
In another life, I had a Ford van that had a Thermo King refrigeration unit on the roof mounted unit. The first or second thing Boston Thermo King told me when I drove the van away from there was, do not let snow and ice build up on this fan blade. You will have a problem. They says, there's a baffle we can give you, or you can buy. And I said, no, I had the capacity to garage it anytime it was gonna rain, so I never had that. But, I mean, it's common sense that these coils, these fans sitting out there, if ice gets on them, it's gonna affect the operation. I mean, I suppose if it runs bad long enough, you're gonna ruin the bearings in it, right? So,
But is it still operational right now?
yeah,
Okay,
what happened? They shut it off
okay,
as
that's
soon
good,
as they heard the noise.
good man.
But then
So-
the ice melted, and now it's back in operation. It has been for a while, right? That was what, month or
Couple months ago.
2 ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
During that icy day we had in the buildup, yeah, totally understandable. I mean, it does have an intermittent fan operation according to the specs there. That the fan runs even when it's not running. The fan just starts, every half an hour and just spins around for a minute to knock some stuff off it. I mean, this is pretty standard stuff, but the having that hood put on, I would consider it an extra. From the HVAC contractor. The distances of all where the air conditioners are, that's not the HVAC guy. He just put it wherever the pad was.
Yeah.
But the hood's an extra.
Right.
That's like buying power windows in your car. You want that, you gotta have power windows, well, that's an extra. So, I mean, should it be installed as a, put in the spec of all buildings that are gonna run like this type of operation? Yes, I agree with that. But I think this one here, we're probably gonna end up buying those hoods. The only thing I would be concerned about, that I would like reflected, Peter, is to make sure that when they go on, that the hoods don't blow at each other. And they
Right.
should all blow in the direction away from the building, I would prefer, but they can't blow at each other.
Yeah, presumably the manufacturer would have specific instructions about that, as they do about clearances from unit to unit and unit to obstructions and all of that.
Yeah,
But,
but with the lineup we got, I don't know if those are universal, you can turn them either way. Sometimes there's already preset screw holes to get in there. I'd just be concerned, because if you look at the lineup we got there in that small picture, they're all right next to each other.
Like this.
Here's a picture, right?
Yeah.
That would be my only concern, but I think we should put, entertain getting a price from the HVAC contractor.
Well,
Install.
why should we pay for it?
If we didn't pay for it to begin with, it's an extra.
No, but we didn't pay for it to begin with, but whoever put the pads in, put them in the wrong place.
But even regardless if you had the pads in the right spot or not, this would still happen.
This has nothing to do with
Right.
the position of the pads.
Well-
This is the
well-
fact that fan is exposed to the weather.
I'd suggest that we send the letter and see where that goes before you have further discussion about it. Yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah,
If
it
you're,
might-
if you're
it
okay
might
with
be-
it.
Like I said, you'll get a
Sure, that's-
response from someone, if not two people.
Probably the same day, like Charleston.
I know, I know what the initial reaction is gonna be.
Yeah,
Don Spago, you got anything to add to this conversation?
I concur with what Justin said, exactly what I would say.
So I guess, the committee's feeling is send the letter, Peter.
Okay, I'll do that. And
Yeah.
I'll get back to you, Steve, about a time for the walkthrough on the 29th. But
Yeah.
I'd assume do it in the morning if that's okay with you.
That's
10.
fine. Yeah, I'll keep the morning open. Because being a Friday and so forth. Okay, the only other thing I have is as far as invoices, I know you guys have been approving invoices as of late.
There's only been a couple of them.
That I don't think that included our invoice from January, because my accounting department had to call town hall the other day. So I don't know whether that's come through or not, whether you need to approve that.
Was that part of the bills that was submitted in January?
No, January you would have gotten February. It was for the month of January. So no, it was not.
there hasn't been a meeting in between here and then.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anything come through, Steve.
Well, the bills I don't think go to you, they go to Joe. It's a whopper, $612.50.
I don't know if we can handle, Mike, I'll have to write a personal check for that one.
What's your home address, bud?
Maybe you have a bake sale or something. You sell a couple of
Yeah,
cookies.
I think we might have that in Bitcoin over there in the safe.
All right,
So I don't know if Joe, I don't know if Joe or Sandy or anybody reached out to you guys, but
no one has contacted me. It's,
yeah, see, I've been forgotten. I can tell already, town hall.
well,
Out of
you
sight,
know,
out of mind.
you gotta get some billable hours in here, you know?
I'm trying not to, you keep pulling me back in. So
Still have money.
that's the invoice is 222,974 for 6/12/15.
What's the date on the invoice, do you know?
I think it was. I don't, let's see if I put the. Oh, there it is. I added it. So it was February 6th.
2/6. There's been some, uncertainty and some confusion going on in that office the past couple of months, so I will go from here to the selectmen's meeting and have a word with Joe. 2/6
Okay.
invoice. All right.
I mean, to be honest, I mean, this is very small, and I wouldn't have. Personally, I wouldn't have been chasing it, but
Their success isn't based on whether or not you get this bill paid tomorrow or not, right?
yeah,
No,
but you
it's
know,
just an accounting nightmare. It isn't even worth the money it's printed on right now.
yeah, well, yeah, with what we're
Not
talking
looking at
about
it
right now,
properly.
I've spent that, so. But
Yeah.
you know, our accounting won't let, you know, they'll continue to call, so if you don't want those calls.
No.
But that's it. That was the only ones. Anything else I've seen, you've done the quick approval on, which they were, I think there was a niche invoice maybe, and for the parking lot, but
Yeah,
for that,
Dennis is not too happy about that fellow. It's, he calls him up and asks him what time of day it is. He sends him a bill.
he's a good businessman then.
Civil engineers, they're famous for that. They're like lawyers.
Like attorneys, right?
Yeah.
0.1 hour.
All right, with respect to the, are you got more, Steve?
I'm done. That's it. Paul, thank you.
All right, well, with respect to the facilities, Dennis is still working on that. The HVAC, we addressed the mailbox. I had told Matthew and by the way, we have a new COA director who started like 3 weeks ago. We invited her to participate tonight, but she had a previous engagement. I don't know her that well. Steve's here more than he is at home every day. But she seems very nice. She's a licensed social worker by trade. So, I had conversation with both her and Matthew and said, get a mailbox. All right, the committee's not paying for it, pay for it out of your operations, it's gonna save you. You won't have to get a mailbox, you won't be paying for the post office box. Just check with Dennis. The interim director had already talked with the post office, and she has all the information on where to put it and all that. So I just told him to check with Dennis, because he's gonna be the one that's gonna put it in. All right,
We received a certificate of occupancy for the building, final.
Wow.
But not for the
That's good.
parking lot.
We can't park them.
Oh, for the
So-
building only?
For the building only, not for the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay. So apparently he's waiting for the restriping to be done before he's gonna issue whatever he would issue for the occupancy for the parking lot.
and he's cognizant of the fact that the parking area for the buses is short, a couple of feet east and west,
Yeah, I think
and north and south.
Dennis mentioned that he wanted to review the drawing that the striping guy did for the current parking lot, because he doesn't believe it was done to the drawing.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
So it wasn't done to the drawing. I don't know whether he's gonna pursue anything.
Over near the
with-
bus, I took pictures. I believe actually I took pictures with a tape measure. That it was one of the parking spaces over there just wasn't wide enough. It was like,
Yeah.
I'd have to jog my own memory at that, but I do remember documenting that area.
I thought Niche had written it down too, didn't they?
Right. Yeah, because I had them go back out there and do the same as well. Yes.
So they would have known that anyways. I did send Dennis the seal coating information, but I don't have yet the line painter, but it might be the same guy because the seal coater does striping too. But Dan
I
was
believe
looking
it
into it.
was. My recollection, it was the same guy.
It was Pioneer
Could be
seal
wrong.
coating out of Millbury or Sutton, something like that.
The other thing, we are, the charging station, an application has been submitted to the state to fund 100% of the cost of the charging station. However, the parking lot that's immediately adjacent to the charging station has to be ADA compliant. The slope of that parking lot is between 2.2 and 2.4%, which is greater than what the
2%.
ADA requirement is, which is 2%. So we notified the state that the parking space, it is what it is. And we said, we're not going to move forward with this unless you give us a waiver in writing so that somebody doesn't come back later and make us tear up the parking lot and fix that. So I haven't heard anything in a couple of weeks, so I don't know whether we're gonna wind up with a charging station or not. But that's where that sits. One request we received, in the ladies' restroom on the senior center side, I don't know how many stalls there are in there, whether it's 2 or 3, but the ones that are not handicapped accessible, there was a request to see if we could install some grab bars to make it easier to use the stall. So I said I would bring that up and see what the deal would be for getting grab bars installed in either 1 or 2 stalls. I don't know how many there are.
So
But
the
I think
handicap,
you'd be attaching them to the panel, which that may not hold. They gotta be anchored to support a certain amount. I don't know, Peter or Chris, have you ever put a grab bar on a toilet partition?
No, usually they're on the room partitions, so
Correct,
I
on the
haven't-
wall.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so, but I don't know that it's not possible. I just haven't ever seen it.
yeah, and there are grab bars in that ADA stall. It might be just the other one.
Well,
I
that
don't-
is what he's saying, the
Yeah, okay.
non-accessible, yeah.
There's grab bars in the handicap stall, but not in the other
Okay.
one. And
Okay.
we're asking if it would be possible to install them in the other one.
I have seen in some places, kind of a hinged bar that's attached to the back wall that can be pulled down for support and then put back up. I know I've seen that somewhere, but I don't know. Yeah. I don't know about attaching to the partitions.
So in the handicap stall, is it the bars are attached to the wall? Is that?
Sheetrock.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably.
And it has blocking in the wall.
Yeah.
So is the answer no, we can't do it, or is the answer, it's something we need to investigate further?
I think investigate further. I couldn't say no. I just don't know whether it's possible with the units that were installed there. So,
Those are some kind of phenolic partition,
yeah,
I
they're
believe.
solid plastic of
Yeah.
some sort, right?
You don't want the thing ripping out.
Our good friend, Mr. Westgate, had weighed in with that, to, I think Steve and I, or at least to me earlier, and lo and behold, like magic, Mr. Westgate just appeared on the screen. So,
Good evening, someone late.
you haven't heard the comments, discussions, regarding the condenser, but and we can back up on that if you just touch base with this thing, you didn't think it was feasible to do it because there wasn't enough strength in that petition.
Well, as I stated to you earlier, that every handicap stall that I've seen that's had the railings installed have been an end stall, and the railings are installed on the wall because you get support that way. If you don't do it that way, then you're installing the railing on the petition itself. And the petitions are composting plastic kind of material that is kind of flimsy, and they have some small aluminum brackets that secure them to the posts that are vertical. I just find it hard to believe that they would support that kind of use. I don't think they're designed for that. It could be wrong,
Okay.
but
Dennis, what Peter had said, and you may have had not been on yet, but he thought there may be something that you can put on the back wall, which is a solid wall that's on a hinge that can swing down if someone actually needs it, and be pushed back out of the way if someone don't. But it's just it's a matter of searching what may be out there. But
Sounds
you're right.
feasible.
I don't think anybody believes we can put anything on the petition itself, even if it was a metal petition, because the chance of it over time pulling those screws out, and then you're going to have the screws coming in on the other side through the panel. What are you going to put a finished block on the other side? It's just not enough there.
Yeah, it might say in the product literature, it might, say it right out, prohibit, putting anything like that on them. I don't know.
Yeah,
We can
in my
take a
quick
glance at
search,
it.
everything's pretty much a metal partition that has anything attached to it as far as a grab bar. But again, yeah, I'm with Steve as far as the wear and tear. Grabbing on that, but the hinged ones looks pretty good. Hinged ones looks pretty cool.
And, all right. We covered with that?
Yes.
You want to finish up about the exercise equipment?
Oh, yeah, so the exercise equipment is moving to town hall on April 5th. To the lower level in the records room.
Is that kind of like the attic?
No.
Like everybody else's exercise equipment?
I thought it was right next to the washing machine to be a dryer's rack.
No, I still maintain that exercise equipment was obtained with a grant for the wrong purposes. That grant, purpose of that grant was for to be used by town employees. And that was the intent of the grant. And I maintain that all the time, and I never voted to go along with the thing anyway, so that's just my 2 cents. So, Dennis, with respect to the condensers and the fans, icing up, in a nutshell.
Yeah.
We've agreed that it's not an issue of the position of the condensers, where they're saying they're too close, they're not as per the drawing. But this is more of an issue with weather, freezing, accumulating on the fan blades.
correct.
Be it the poor design or whatever. Our good friend, Mr. Howell, says that he believes that these fans were supposed to run intermittently in the process, so to clear anything. And he believes that, what do you want to say, that these were extras, these were add-ons that we refused. Is that?
I didn't say we refuse them. I don't think the option was ever offered to us.
Okay, all right.
And I think the project was bid out and the HVAC contractor didn't include the accessory that could be added on to that unit.
Yeah, you didn't buy
So,
them, basically.
He also points out about they can't be blowing against each other.
Yeah, we have them stacked next to each other, so obviously these gigantic hoods, they're hoods. You wouldn't want one blowing right at the other one, so it just blows the hot air back.
Oh, so they can blow in the
They
opposite.
could blow to the back of the other.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, they all have to blow in the same direction.
Right.
It's my personal feeling on it. That may not be hold true or hold water, but
So
I would recommend that.
the committee is signed on to Peter sending a letter to the designers on the air handlers.
To the contractor.
The contractor, not.
Contractor, okay.
Based on the location of being too close to the building, correct, Peter?
Yes, because their coordination drawings, they didn't install them according to their own coordination drawings or the contract drawings. So we're gonna take that avenue first to try to get the hoods installed by them based on that incorrect installation on their
That's-
behalf.
That's gonna generate a response from them that we can take from there, because we also did speak about, I did remember that there was one of them, I think it was ACCU 4, that was running a little bit long on the length for the refrigeration line. And I remember that conversation during construction. But you know, it got resolved. But I don't know whether that played into a fact of where that particular condensing unit was located, because that's one of the ones that's closest to the wall. But I think you send the letter and you're gonna get a response back from Hutter/KMD on it, one way or the other, and then we take it from there.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Any comments on the parking lot that, weather permitting, and when we get everything squared away, that'll be addressed?
I received the information for the crack ceiling from Steve. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
So my intention was to reach out to them sooner than later to start talking about scheduling and pricing and whatnot for getting the remainder of that parking lot sealed. And then as soon as that's sealed, I can coordinate the line painting. And I'm still up in the air on the line painting because it sounds like, Steve, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Are we moving forward with the electric vehicle?
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. We're waiting to see if we can get a written waiver on the slope of that parking space. If we can't get anything in writing saying it's okay to do it, then I think it would not be a good idea to do it, because someone will say, it's not code, or and so if we can get a waiver.
But should we not go forward with that? Should we not take the raised box out of there and put something in there that's ground level? So somebody doesn't hit it with a plow or something? Even though it is close to the base, a light
I don't
base?
know. I'm not familiar with the design of what goes there when that's all up and running, to be honest. I didn't see any plans or drawings for that, so I'm not sure I don't know how to envision that. What I'm concerned with is if the parking spaces are going to change, because obviously if the parking spaces are going to change, we're going to want to change that prior to me utilizing the plan that we've already paid for from Nish to have that restriping done.
So in that plan from Niche, is that space next to the charging station a handicap space or not?
No,
It's not.
it's not.
So if it's not a handicap space, then I think we're fine, because if we do get the waiver and we do get the charging station, then that can't be a handicap space.
Right. Correct. It doesn't
so
meet
we'd
the
be
requirements.
okay.
Okay. As long as we're on the same. Well, I mean, I'll communicate with the committee before anything's done, but I was going to try to get this started earlier than later, because I really don't want to carry this into the spring. I'm going to get busier than I am now, quicker than I want to be. So I would rather get some of these things off my plate.
And, well, it's gonna be a demand on the parking lot too, because
Yeah.
You're gonna have baseball starting pretty soon.
Yeah.
So. We're in good, I think we're in good hands with you, Dennis, though.
Thank you.
Just like Allstate. They don't show you when Allstate goes like this, though, you know? Does anybody have anything else? Matthew? Oh, Dennis, before I forget, there's been a warranty walkthrough scheduled for the 29th, tentatively for the 29th. I don't know if Steve or Peter want to just touch base with Dennis on that.
Yeah, so the building has a general 1-year warranty owned by the contractor, and that's going to be up on April 7th. So we just want to do a walkthrough and identify anything that is an issue before that anniversary date. So if you have a list, or anybody has a list of things they want us to look at, put on the warranty list, please send it along or join the meeting.
We haven't
I'm
set a
sorry.
time yet, Dennis, but it's probably gonna be in the morning. That's
Yeah.
a Friday.
I'm sorry, the date again was,
29th,
29th of March,
let's say 10 a.m.
sure.
so I've got 9 days to break everything.
I have all the
I can do
confidence in the world in you, Dennis.
Thank you very much, sir.
Dennis, did you see that email I sent about the kitchen hood? Is that something we should bring up to the committee, or
Yeah.
do you want to handle that?
No, I'm gonna handle that. I'll have them come. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to respond to you, Matthew, but I'll just have them come out and go over it with me, and unless there's an issue with it, which I doubt there will be. Those things are really basic. There's not a lot to them.
Is that
Dennis,
is
did you get
definitely
that?
the company that installed it?
I'm sorry, Matthew. Say that again.
I was just saying, is that definitely the company that installed it, or is this just somebody calling us out of the blue?
I don't know. I haven't I haven't contacted them yet, but
What's the issue?
Somebody called me today and left me a voicemail saying they were someone from it was kind of garbled. I didn't catch the company, but they said they owed us a startup on the kitchen hood and they wanted to schedule it.
Hmm.
they're a tad late.
That's unusual.
So say, call them up and say, yeah, come on down, whoever you are.
So it wasn't Hutter. It was some started with a C. The company name, I couldn't really pick it up on the voicemail.
Dennis, did you get that floor plan software up and running for
Floor
the
plan
for the air handling units?
yes.
Okay.
Yep. Everything with I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Everything with the HVAC system and the lighting system has been running flawlessly for the past 2 months.
I just knocked on wood a little bit.
We had a couple of issues with the lighting. We had a couple when we had some power outages, and it even baffled. Help me, Chris. The name of the company now is. They were out too.
Mercier or
No, Mercier came out with them, but Mercier brought them out.
Cooper?
Cooper.
So it even had their tech baffled. He spent the better part of 2 whole days trying to correct that issue. It was very strange. He had to replace quite a few parts in the electrical room. It looks like the power outage caused some surges that there's quite a few different pieces of hardware that they have plugged into the system on those boards when you first walk into that electrical room. Those first 2 boards on the right-hand side, those are all the lighting boards. And you had to replace at least 2 of those boards, which was, I hope that's not a telltale sign of what I get to look forward to. But we went over some troubleshooting tips. He was very helpful to me for, every once in a while when we have a power outage, Matthew, I will have to go in there and make some adjustments to the lighting. because it doesn't like it. And it's a very complicated system and it takes a while. It's kind of like the HVAC system. Everything has to prove out before the next set of systems begins to operate. And if it doesn't work correctly because it's temperamental, then there's a reset on it that I know how to hit now and reboot the whole system. And ultimately, that's probably going to be the fix when we have power outages. But the last time we did it, it worked.
Long before
That's-
you return.
That's all I can say.
Hey, Dennis, Mike Howell, do you think it'd be helpful to the electronics of the system to have it on a UPS system, like a rack mounted or a floor mounted UPS system, a small one, 2000 kW, just to keep the terminal and stuff on a UPS?
Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad we didn't have something like that from the get-go because they're much cheaper to install when you're doing your construction rather than the afterthought. But it wouldn't have hurt in this situation because there's quite a bit of apparatus that we would rather have continuous operation and no break in power. Some of the systems have little backup batteries to them, but I noticed that the lighting doesn't. So when we flip over to the generator, we lose that 100%.
So, to your point, we still have sufficient, we still have quite a few dollars left. Is this something that you'd rather see us looking into, or you look into it?
I had a brief conversation with Dennis from Mercier, and he was rather surprised that we didn't have at least a small system set up for some of the stuff that we have. I could always reach out to him and ask him for some better input on it and some options for certain, but we've made it a whole year, and the only hiccups that I've seen have been hiccups that this wouldn't have necessarily corrected. It was issues with the software and the hardware itself. So the power interruption wasn't necessarily the culprit.
So,
It's just that some of that stuff you would think you'd want to. I'm surprised at how much I have to manually reset when we have a power outage. When we flip over to generator and go back, the gas valve goes off. The whole E1 panel for the kitchen, the main goes off on that, and it doesn't reset itself. I have to manually reset it. So, and I know it's safety. It's got to be safety code that necessitates that, but it's an awful lot of stuff that has to be hand reestablished. It doesn't automate. It's not automated.
well, back to the original point, is this something that, you think it's worth pursuing? By all means do it.
I don't know how far I could go with it, but I'll ask Dennis to.
I know you have nothing else to do, but
I was hoping you were going to come up with something,
How about if we have Peter reach out to GGD and see what their best application would be for a small rack mounted UPS and what equipment should be picked up on that. And I question why the gas valve goes off when you're just testing the generator. That shouldn't happen.
Not from generator tests, because during generator tests, the building doesn't flip over. So the generator does a self-test every single week. It runs for a certain amount of time just to test itself and make sure everything's okay. It's when we actually have a power outage and the generator takes command of the building. The gas valve gets shut off automatically.
is there room in that room to put this rack that you described?
No, I'm just saying all in our.
It would be in the
In the
electrical.
existing
room,
rack.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Data room, and we actually do have a spare UPSs because the ones that were spec'd by GGD, we decided not to use because they weren't big enough. So we do have them. So the cost of doing this would be essentially the cost of just the wiring to connect the equipment in the electrical room to the UPS.
It could be significant cost.
It could be. But we do have extra UPS.
I Dennis, not to give you any more work. I know you want to leave here with nothing to do, but I'd put those as little bullet points for this walkthrough. And maybe these points can be reflected to GDD and maybe there is a resolution to them.
Sure. I don't think it would be great for everything. I mean, some of the stuff I think is better. It flips over to the generator when the generator comes on, and the power interruption, that small little gap of time, is irrelevant. But there are a few things, a few electronics, and the lighting's one of them that's problematic every time we do this. It would be nice to see that maintained.
I understand. I feel your pain. Younger. These lighting systems that they're designed now are way over the top for energy conservation. To the point where the best thing that happens is they don't work.
Yeah.
Oh, we've done that already.
Yeah,
The second mezzanine, so that's the pull down stairs in the hallway behind the kitchen. That lighting is no longer automated. That is only manual, because we had a repeated issue where there's just too much noise pollution up in that attic for those sensors to be able to handle it. And
Right.
they stay in occupied mode and they won't come out. So the lights either stay on or they won't come on, either way. So
Right.
the last time Dennis was out, we switched that over to manual. It's the only one in the building, but it's manual.
And there's a lesson learned for all of us right there. Take that one to the next project. How are the utility bills? Do you see the utility bills? Gas, electric?
Yeah. We made the adjustments in the next fiscal budget already. They were too low. The bills are much higher than anticipated.
Okay. Yeah,
I
I'd
can
be
tell you,
curious because
between gas and electric, I believe we made a $20,000 or $30,000 increase in the utilities
Mhm.
for the next fiscal year.
Right. So with that being said, is there an anticipation to putting this installing HVAC contractor on a service contract for 1 year to tune up the units in the springtime or anything like that?
Yep. I'm not necessarily turn up the units, because the good thing about the type of units that we have is most of your maintenance is going to be, it's not like the old rooftop unit style where you got to go and do all the belts and everything. These systems run off VFDs and ECMs, and it's all electronics. It's just a ton of filters, and we can change the filters ourselves. So the contract that I'm looking for is with House, because most of our tune-up work is going to come at the front end. It's going to be making sure that everything stays calibrated, because as soon as the system is not calibrated, then the information on my computer is inaccurate. And I can no longer, Matthew's going to tell me that a room is cold or a room is hot, and I'm going to argue with him because my computer says he's wrong. Those are the problems that we have with this wonderful system. And it is a wonderful system. I wasn't being sarcastic. But with this type of technology, you have to stay on top of those things. So with House, I fully intend to have a contract with them to come out and make sure that all of us, we run the system, for the most part, runs off static pressure. And those, we've already had problems with those switches. And those, again, are very temperamental and they're very sensitive. And they're designed to take up to 4 pounds right now. And our system operates at the most at 1.5, I think it is. But I've seen firsthand how much of an issue those switches can be. So it's things like that. And we have so many devices in all of these air handlers and throughout the entire system speaking to our front end that it requires an annual maintenance, without a doubt.
Not to mention software upgrades as the units grow and
Correct.
get older.
Good point.
Thank you for your time, Dennis.
You want to meet next, chief?
I have Chris,
Yup.
do you have a cut sheet or anything that came from on the rubber-based playground?
Rubber-based playground, the PIP surface,
Yes.
the colored surface. Yeah, I should have a cut sheet. Yep.
Could you send that to me, please?
Yes, sir.
Because putting my finance committee hat on, I've had discussions with the town manager and saying that if we have to replace this, it's going to be a substantial amount of money. And we should be planning ahead for it to the extent that if it's gonna cost us $100,000 in 10 years, that we should be putting money away every year to do this. And I'd like to see what that says, and if I have any further questions on it, I'll get a hold of Sydney Mack.
Okay. Yep. I'll send that over to you right in the morning.
Thank you.
Yep.
Chris, would you happen to have the mechanical specs on the unit operation?
The spec
Like
themselves.
a narrative on how the building is supposed to operate?
Oh, yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I was gonna
You
say
know
that
what
should
the
be part of the
sequencing?
owner manual. Yeah.
Until you own it.
Yeah. Would there be any, what I'm thinking is, if it says that these units are designed to be low ambient, meaning they will operate in lower temperatures, those hoods should have been designated as installed, not as an accessory. Because those are part of the low ambient kit that you would put on a unit so that it would run in the wintertime.
Yeah, I can definitely look at that. Again, I know that Ben had mentioned, or Ben from GGD, he had mentioned too about, with the hoods and potential performance issues when the hoods get added on, and again, to your point about the way they face and all that kind of stuff. So I'll ask him, or I'll look at the owner's manuals again and get back to you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yep.
Next meeting, 2 months, 1 month? Depends, we have these couple issues going.
We're gonna have penalties from the other group if we don't pay his bill on time. Maybe we can.
For a tax every chapter, they'll be filing chapter 11 for that.
I may not be showing up to that
$612.
warranty walkthrough, Paul.
How about April 30th? How's that sound?
Is that? We can always change it depending on what comes from this discussion. We jump ahead. Can we come up with let's say, a consensus of on a what if? What if Trolson says we're not gonna do anything? What do we do?
Fix it till the warranty runs out and then buy a new one.
I'd buy a new one right now and put it right next to that one.
Contact
for
your town council.
I'm
I
sorry?
like that idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, no, who is it, KP Law? I can't remember who you have.
Yes. KP.
Yeah,
KP Law.
I'm with him. Just keep letting them
I mean,
fix
if
it for free.
it's under warranty and they want to come out every 2 months and thaw the coils,
Yeah, but that's a pain.
it is.
Well,
it's
eventually
the-
they're gonna say warranty is up. So it will run out at some point. But
with respect to that, we have to get everybody to agree on what the initial date is. We know it's not December of 22, but
yeah, we can do that. We'll do that.
what yeah. So.
Of course, remember, Trolson has no idea what the contract with Hutter says. He's
I
just
know.
winging it. He's looking at a computer somewhere that says when they delivered the thing, and
This was shipped, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
The date is April
Oh.
7th. I mean, that's the date everything was accepted.
it is. Yeah.
Well, Peter, do you do a lot of business with Singer Kittredge?
Yeah, they're pretty regular installer on kitchen equipment. Yeah.
There's not many out there. That's the problem.
Yeah,
As far
Well,
well,
like
as far
I
as,
said,
as municipal work goes.
we can still get some people to go online and say what bad people Charleston, so. I didn't
You
say
go,
that.
go on their Yelp.
So. April 30th, is that what you said, sir?
Yes.
Does that work for everybody? April 30th?
Yep, sounds good.
And a walkthrough tentatively on March 29th at 10 o'clock. Warranty walkthrough. I guess
Yes.
anybody's welcome to be here. If you can find it in your heart to do it. If TJX will let you loose. Cause I value your input on,
Right now.
on all this stuff.
I'd like to take a walk through myself.
No. All right, nobody else? Motion to adjourn,
Second.
roll call vote, Paul Flaherty, aye.
Second tonight.
7:20,
Mike Hall,
Don Spargo, aye?
Jason's gone. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
I don't say this enough, but people are really enjoying the building, and it's nice to see it just filled. You know, all the study rooms are filled, and kids are using the play area.
Good.
That's
Yeah,
great.
as soon as it gets over 60 degrees, the playground has 50 kids on it. So
Nice. All right, well, I'm glad to hear.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Appreciate
Thanks,
that.
guys.
Good night.
Okay. Yeah, good night.